gonna look like you're holding one gun.
That gun's got cloaking. Active cloaking.
Yeah.
It's accurate.
Very clever.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our episode 4 review of the Halo Season 2 television series. This one entitled Reach. And finally, we get an episode of Battle. And I am quite relieved there was 0 Quan.
Or rubble.
And 0 rubble. So automatically that is making this quite good. But it is a momentous episode. It is the beginning of the fall of Reach. There was a lot of stuff in the trailers I didn't see, so I think we're going to get some more, including the Covenant fleet showing up and trying to glass the planet. But, wow, probably my favorite Halo episode of maybe the whole series. Yeah. We got battles. Now, granted, it's not without flaws, okay?
Yes,
we are critics, so we'll point those out to you. But I thought that within the means of this budget and the writers and the skill set that these people have, they did a good job. And I hate when they cut away from the bat. They did that often to do the other little storylines. And just as we're going, you know, that would have been awesome to just continue to stay there. But this is the kind of stuff that I wanted to see from the Halo Reach show. Yeah, this is going to completely disappear. I'm so curious how fucked up this looks. I bought a Nerf gun. Do you know where that one is?
Yeah, it's downstairs in the bucket.
Oh, son of a bitch. I could have had the better one. Yeah. Son of a bitch. Okay. Anyways, there will be hopefully more battles to come.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So some surprising character deaths, giving gravity to the fall of Reach. Some that is straying from the canon. Well, the whole show strays from the canon because it's... What did they call this universe again? The Blue Universe or some weird shit. But huge. I don't want Admiral Keyes to have died because I think he's one of the better parts. He is a perfect Keyes, yeah. and we lose him in this episode. Inglorious fashion. Got a light. It just.
He has a really cool pipe too.
And yeah, you do the pipes too. So man, I liked it. That was a great death. We also had another death from what's this character's name? Lewis. Thank you. Yeah, Lewis, the blind retired Spartan, and we lost Bannock. And while this one was incredibly sad, and I think kind of I wish he would have. What we wanted for him was taking. I wanted him in his armor, taking down tons of elites with him. Maybe the Noble Six death, the Noble Six. But I guess maybe they're saving that for Riz or Kai. We don't really know where Kai is. So it's a little bittersweet, but within the story that. As soon as this episode opened with him taking care of his pigeons and giving them names, Larry, Barry, Jenny, and Keith, I was like, I knew this. I knew this was coming.
I thought it was going to be Riz this episode because all the backstory we had with the last episode, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, and frankly, we thought it was going to be a Quan-centric episode. Thankfully not. But because this is a budget. Let's be honest. This is a budget-starved TV show. I guarantee you the next 2 episodes are going to be very low-cost episodes. And quite possibly, you know how Alex predicted this would be the Quan? I guarantee you the next one going to be Quan fucking magical Quan. They did this last season too, right? Where there was a really good episode.
We're all dreading it.
And then here comes the Quan magical shaman bullshit. So I think that's what's going to happen. But for me, great episode. What about you guys?
I thought this was another great, well, not another one. It was a great episode by far. One, so. Yeah, the battles for the other one, but it was again. I guess it has to do with budget constraints because I wanted to see more of the battles. I think it would reach for me like 10 if we saw more of the battles and kind of avoided these jump cuts.
You're right.
From Halsey and Soren.
I think you're right. We could have reached 10.
Yeah, but with, I guess, that constraint and then going back with Soren and Halsey kind of brought it a little bit down.
Yeah.
But I loved Key's speech. It was fucking very motivational. I love.
You're all gonna die. Oh.
Hey,
oh.
You know you're doomed. But that was a great speech.
I love speeches.
That was a good speech. It's like, look, it's gonna happen.
Look, we're gonna die. Let's go out, dying fighting, and it was fantastic. I do have something to say on the speech though later. But Joe, what'd you think of no suits? No suits.
Is that due to budget?
No.
It seems so? Maybe.
I don't know because they could explain it off. He's like, well, he took him.
Ackerman took him.
He took him, but it's like maybe it was a budget. I don't know, but it was still good. I enjoyed this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were some really good things in here, and I don't want to give them out. Like I don't know if that's what you guys' opinion is, that the budget is the reason that the show has been lackluster. I think that we can have scenes with the Chief not in his suit. We can have scenes with the characters that we care about, and it's not battle centric. I think the problem with the show is that someone in the writer room is like, no. In addition to the Halo story that everyone knows and loves, I'm going to introduce these new characters and force everyone to care about them. It's like the Madrigal, it's the Rubble, it's the Quan Ha shit. And so I think they did a really good job because they didn't put a lot of their own stuff in here. They're following a story that people know and they love. And if you're going to do scenes that Chief without his helmet, this makes sense. Like this is one of those things where it's like, no, he takes his helmet off because he takes his helmet off. It's like, hey, we can write ways where he doesn't have his suit and it actually ends up working. So I agree with you guys. I think this is the best episode probably of the series. I don't think it's the best action piece because I think there were some tighter, better ones that we saw. Even like season 1, there was like one really good but very short action segment. I know exactly what you're talking about. But like this one was pretty good all throughout, and it just shows that when the writers aren't trying to make something that is already pretty great better by adding their own garbage, then this show actually can work.
Yeah, and so that gives me hope for the rest of what we're seeing here, and maybe season 3 by the time we get to Halo and we've kind of dropped all these other elements. It looks like they're dropping elements that they created, except for they're not with,
I think Maki and Quan are here to stay.
Yeah, immediately our optimism will probably be ruined on the next episode. But let's go ahead and stay optimistic on this particular one since we're only talking about this episode. So, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. If you're going to do character deaths, they have to make sense. They have to be earned. I felt Vanix could have been a little bit better, but other than that, well done. So let's go to essentially this episode was the fall of Reach. There were ground-based explosions. There were elites that have already infiltrated. Their purpose is to destroy all the power generators so that they can cut off the planetary defense batteries and bring in the Covenant fleet. And so there are probably a few scout ships in orbit. That's why there's a few plasma blasts that happen from orbit down to the planet's surface. But the planetary defenses fire back. You can see some of the really cool scenes. Well done CGI. We got to see the fucking M808 Scorpion, which was fucking cool. We got to see a Wrath, which was fucking cool. The Covenant tank.
We got to see a green Xbox.
We got to see. Oh, you saw that, Joe? Yeah.
Can't forget about that.
An antique. Well, we'll get there. This could have been a stumble here, but they go to an antique shop and we see the green original Xbox. That was my Xbox. I had that version, so I like that little Easter egg. And this was essentially the setup of the fall of Reach. They did Thermopylae. They tried to funnel the enemy into a small area and held the line. And essentially, this is about getting some of the last remaining civilians off the planet. Though, it's very small feeling, but it's because of the constraints of the budget. I'm sure the rest of the planet was also evacuated, and this was just one particular sector with some of our important characters. And we get an Arbiter Chief fucking badass hallway fight, and we get a surprise that Maki has now stolen Cortana. So a lot of momentous bits in the episode, and we really like this one. So let's go to final verdicts.
I'll probably give this one a 9.
Okay.
I give it an extra point because
That's what I'm thinking.
You're on the right track with this. Again, I liked it. I liked the battles. The first one when he sees the Covenant in town, in the Starfield place, you're like, oh, this looks.
Oh yeah. So there was that one moment they go into like I don't know a club area, and the storefronts reminded me of that one planet in Starfield. What's the planet called?
Oh, God. Chat will know. Or yeah,
this ain't
comments
chat.
will know. Yeah,
this is YouTube.
They'll know. They'll know. The comments will know. Yeah, that was a cool battle. Like it was the CGI was like whatever, but I'm okay with this. Like
Alex pointed out an error in the CGI at the end, and I didn't believe him.
There's lots of little.
I mean, get up close.
Yeah.
But again, if we're gonna get stuff like that, I don't mind the CGI being pretty bad or whatever, as long as we get more of that stuff. Let's do it. Good death scene with Keys. It was a little sad to see him go, but I like the way he went out. The only nitpicks I really have was the cuts. It was too I wanted to stay longer with the battles. I want to see that. And
like cuts from commercial, and we're like, but there's no commercials.
Yeah,
here.
and then we go back, and then it goes to Soren and Halsey. It's like I don't. Yeah, it was kind of minimal. Luckily, I was happy it wasn't like half the episode was that, and then half was the battle. So I'm going to go with the 9.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking 8 or 9. I think this episode's really good. I don't even mind them going back and forth all that much. That's what we want, right? I want 3 hours of Halo, The Fall of Reach. I want nonstop, but it's just, I just know that this medium won't allow that kind of thing. So like, it's not like if we were switching to Quan, like a storyline that makes no sense, that I actively hate, and it's literally light years away in a different place that I don't give a fuck about. Then it's a problem. But it's like this, we're all coming to a head, and for me, it made sense that they're coming together. I mean, the only didn't like is like Vanek's talking about how much of a badass he was. He's like, I've been hunting down these levels. It's like, cool, can I see that? And they're like, no. It's like, cool, are you going to give him a cool, glorious death? It's like, no. He's going to randomly show up. He's going to shoot a needler 3 times. And then he's going to leave cover for some reason. It's like,
that's not how it's done.
So it's like, look, this is a character that
people.
Yeah,
I know we're gonna catch like, oh, Phoenix, that was awesome.
No, motherfucker, no. Watch more movies. Read some more books. Do anything, because like Key's got a cool death. If he's gonna die, he went out like a badass. Yeah. He did it saving people. Yeah. Vanek left cover to shoot a needler at a dude and died like a bitch because he acted like a bitch. And I wanted a better death from him.
I wouldn't go as far to call Vanek a bitch, but that's Alex for you.
He ran up to an elite with a cloak, and he shot a needler at him.
I agree it was stupid, but Vanek is not a bitch. He thinks Chief, his leader, is dead, and so he's going to go and get revenge. And can't stop the man. Okay. But I agree. It was a stupid decision.
It was very dumb, and I think that for a heroic guy, and like I wanted the Spartan who is the peak soldier to act like peak soldier, not like, and then he gets stabbed and dies.
So I am also going to go with a 9 out of 10, but I am grading on the scale of No Quan.
This is the Halo scale.
This is the Halo scale 9, which is probably like a fucking 6 in the Game of Thrones scale or something like that. But this is a 9 for what they did, and I appreciated it. And you're right, Alex, we don't mind the cutaway so as long as it's cutting to something a little bit more pertaining to the main characters and we're studying. But I think me and Joe are saying that because we know that the budget is so constrained that this is what we're getting. Yeah. And every time you cut it away from that, it's not like it's going to be in the next 2 episodes. It's gone forever. Meaning that what Alex wanted to see Vanek down in the fucking underground taking on elites was instead supplemented by Grandma talking about antiques and Master Chief talking about a lady who would flip a coin.
He knew
while he's in the middle of the Fall of Reach. They stop and have this awkward moment. We'll talk about it in the spoilers. But 9 out of 10. Thought it was a great episode. Yes. The characters that we like get moments to shine, some better than others. And, great battle scenes, glorious deaths. This is the Halo that we wanted to see. And I am so happy that the showrunner was like, okay, it's time for Fall of Reach. And I hope we are building towards the handoff, maybe Riz sacrifices. It seems as if our Silver team are supplements for Noble team, right? And then if you don't know, Juz, like, Noble Six is one of the most legendary. Before Master Chief, there was a guy who was doing a lot of shit on Reach that allowed the passing of Cortana, and then to the Pillar of Autumn. Then eventually we go from the Pillar of Autumn ship to the Halo. This is the game. So I'm hoping that that's what we're building towards. And then, man, I'll be excited as a little kid for Season 3 if that's what's going on here. And hopefully we can take the Quan shit and move it towards maybe tying her to the Flood. That's the only way I can see saving her shit. Is tying it there. But I got a lot of fun little Easter eggs and moments to go through. But 9 out of 10. Let's go into the episode breakdown now. Hey, guys. So essentially, we start with setting up Vanek's death. He's got four birds here. And Jenny, Benny, Kenny, and Keith or Barry.
It starts with Vanek and ends with Vanek.
Yeah, Benny, Jenny, Lenny, and Keith. And I bet that was Keith at the end.
Fucking Keith.
Flying over his dead body. But it was sad. I think it was a good thing. But, Alex, did you notice, what was that thing you were like... This CGI is
there's tons of like little mistakes, but like this is one where you're focused on the hole in the ceiling and you see the bird flying like not perfectly through the hole, and then when the bird goes through the ceiling, you can see the bird through the ceiling. You can see its shadow. It's like
there's rebar in front of us, and so when the bird makes the oval pattern shape of its flight pattern, you would expect for the bird to disappear because the rubble is in front. But if you actually look up close, you can see the shadow of the bird doing its flight path on the rubble. It was and I'm like, no way. And I looked at it closer. Yeah, so I don't know if they're gonna fix it before, but it's stuff like that. When I first was watching it, I don't know if you guys know. Maybe this was our projector, but the color kind of seemed like it would flash, like gray. That's happened before. That might be my projector. But anyways, so they set up Vanek. Vanek's cool. Love it. We have the big Soren Halsey meetup that was teased at the thing, and it was kind of a dud.
It wasn't as dangerous or as tense as I think a situation like that. It
needs
like,
you're
to
smaller
be.
than I expected.
Yeah,
but it was real quick.
I like the whole like you're smaller than I expected type thing where it's like, look, I grew up around you, I was terrified of you, all that other thing. But this is a kind of thing where I don't think she felt in danger at all, and I wanted her to feel more in danger. Like he just kind of went up there and he's like, oh, I'm actually not going to do anything about this whole situation.
A little anticlimactic, not that we were clamoring so much for it, but it could have had potential of a great character scene. Yeah. And they just kind of went, nah, let's go. The lights go out, and they are released due to the hollow deck failure, basically. Next, we get Perez freaking out. She is running the streets with John and Master Chief. She's gonna go save her family. Blah blam. John actually goes this way. She goes that way to grab her family. She gets flung that way. He gets flung, and yeah. Dead. It is implied that her family blew up. Like all of them.
Yeah, they're all dead.
And she freaks out. She's like, there's no military training for this. And I was like, excuse me, there's no military training for an enemy invasion. And she's
when you're at war with
she's blubbering. She's being stupid. She's being annoying. But I will give her a pass because her whole family just fucking died. And that might be what she's referring to is more the civilians are being attacked and, your whole family is being murdered. There's no training for that.
Do you have any?
It's just the line.
Do you have fears now that she is going to be a new main character of the show because she got a lot of time?
Yeah, they keep ejecting her, so eventually she becomes a helper in the medical tents and stuff, but yet she's also with the ship, and then the civilians.
She's the pilot.
She's like guiding them in, and then later on, the admiral walks by in a completely.
I thought they were going to do some kind of.
There. She's the officer that he says, keep getting these people. I am, sir. It's like, and then she's on the ship.
Yeah, I thought they're going to do some kind of like love thing with them and John.
She walks like there's some kind of, he keeps looking at her. And it begs the viewer to say, okay, is he attracted to her?
Yeah.
I think it's more the connection from book materials of a Spartan desire to have the life of a normal soldier, family, and it's that kind of connection. He wants to make sure she's okay. He's fascinated by her in that sense. I don't think it's romantic. I think it's like a platonic. It's like a friendship, a camaraderie. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they could have filmed it better or something to give us that better impression, so I don't have that inkling for half a second. But I know what you're saying.
I just don't want it to be a new storyline that we're going to be focusing on. Another
storyline. That's why
like,
Alex is concerned, because we've had that in the past.
Where it's like, hey, this is a new character. It's like, cool. Can we make them not a main character? It's like, no, this character is going to get entire episodes by themselves. It's like, please.
Yeah, I don't want Perez to. I don't really want that. But if we are going to get a TV show eventually in Halo Season 3, I would prefer it to just be Master Chief and Cortana. But, you know, a TV show with 8-10 episodes or whatever, maybe they need a little bit more, and they're looking to bring Perez. But
I was thinking so too, because like she decoded,
she
decoded the message and stuff. So
the Keys,
they're making her important. There's no doubt they're making her important.
Don't forget, Amanda Keys is still a character that's going to be coming back, right?
Yeah, Miranda Keys.
Miranda Keys, yeah.
So they even make mention her in this episode. Where is she? And he's like, she's not here. I can't tell you that. Our daughter, you can't. Okay.
Yeah.
We're about to die, and you can't.
Soren's here. That person. He's not a pirate.
All right. So, anyways, I do like. So then we get to the part where all these people are running. It is a planetary invasion. It's so fucking cool. We go into a new area where it's got those club or storefronts that look like the planet on Starfield, the One Good Planet. And in the distance, you see cloaked elites and the crowd rushing, and that's cool, man. Yeah, that's scary. I like that.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Fucking go.
Let's go.
And instead of everybody running, Chief goes, whoo, whoo, bam, and the fucking tackles one that's cloaked, goes through a window. And I do like the street fight with the cloaked elite. He was pop, 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 fucking loved it. I liked how he grabbed the mandible. That was so cool.
Killed him with a table leg.
Yeah, that was great. And so we get that whole scene, this like, I just love that. You know, I used to fantasize when I was a kid. I'd have to walk home from school. And, you know, I used to think like, you know, use your imagination.
Fuck
like,
that.
no alien invasions, no firing at the ground, big ploofs of smoke and stuff. And, you know, that. And that's what played out here. And so eventually he goes into, I don't know, a fucking stairwell as he's trying to escape, because there are really too many. You're like, well, Master Chief, go and fight everybody. It's like, well, okay, there's like 30 elites. He did fight some of them.
Suit.
Right. So it's time to retreat and regroup. And so they manage to go through a stairwell. He grabs a axe. He grabs a crowbar. And they wait for the elites to come up, and it does sound like they are looking for them, and I would have loved it if the door opens, and here we go, another action scene. I was waiting for it.
Costs money,
Joe. Come on, do it.
Costs money.
And it's turning into the raid now, and my score is going up.
Yep.
But they didn't do that. In fact, they did one of the only missteps, in my opinion. I understand some TV showrunners, I got to give the audience a break. I need a moment for them to breathe and to take it all in. But it felt
the Halsey scenes.
Incredibly, exactly.
Those were the Halsey scenes.
Those are those scenes. It felt incredibly inappropriate for her to all of a sudden, slow things down. It was fine for her to say, like, you're so calm and collected, because that's Chief, and you're like, or normal Marine would be like, how are you doing this? But for him to turn around, when I was a kid, there once was this lady who flipped a coin. I'm like, really? Like, and there was one lady, and she would flip the coin. It's like, Chief, what are we doing? We need to do something else.
Yeah, I can forgive this scene if the scene that immediately follows this scene didn't happen, because they like, there's like two people in the writer room. They're like, who can jerk the philosophy chain the hardest?
Right.
And it's like, no, there's just going to be this woman talking about the permanence of objects and humanity, and these things remain while we focus on the Xbox. Which, that thing, I had to open up my original Xbox like 10 fucking times to adjust the laser, because the original Xbox had a whole bunch of fucking mechanical flaws.
Not mine.
And so,
mine was a fucking truth.
Yeah, you had to like open it up and try to do the laser screw. I mean, I wasn't the only one that did it. I had looked at tutorials online, because they fucked up how they made those things.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, Chief? And then they continue to explore this area. Shotgun blast hits the wall behind him. Turns out to be this old lady. Yeah. And we do it again. You know, we have the slowdown scene in exactly what Alex just said here. Maybe a little too much. This lady was like, oh, there go my part in Halo show. Hey, my family, watch this part. It's me. And we never see her again.
It's like, great, Grandma, you fucked up in this Halo.
You fucked the pacing up. We could have got the Vanek underground scene instead of this bitch. Anyways, I wrote, it's as if someone tried to fucking sunbathe on a fishing boat in the middle of a tsunami. Like, stop it. Right now, we are under attack. It's time to fucking go.
I mean, I understand the sentiment, and it makes sense. It's like she's like, look, there's nothing I could fucking do about it. I'm gonna if we're getting glass, we're getting glass. I'm not getting on the ship.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like I'm acknowledging that it does make sense. It's just like of all the things that are happening that we are currently not seeing in the show, maybe we could show the other stuff because this doesn't seem very important. Which is kind of like the whole Halo fucking series 1 episodes, seasons 1 and 2. It's like I don't want to see this. But show me the good part.
But, Alex, people nowadays talk like nothing matters.
You ignorant.
Nihilists.
No, you ignorant.
All right. Then we go and we get the dungeon scene. This is where we had to slower and we can be talking about humanity and all this. But instead, it's, you know, I know this area. Follow me. And he's like, fuck you. I'm out of here. And then he's like, oh, shit. I like that she does know where he is. They keep saying ONI. I'm like, stop saying it like that. It's fucking Oni. It's always been Oni. I've said it as Oni. The games have said it as Oni. Why is it ONI?
Nope.
And stop saying
it's
like that is. I say Oni, so that's what it is. Moving on. The best action sequence in the entire series meets with some other Spartans, Riz, and that retired guy with the boyfriend, Lewis. So I really liked this scene. However, thinking about it right now, there's one element that completely ruins it, and I completely forgot. It doesn't completely ruin it. It just takes away from the logic of the scene. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that guy blind?
He's on the spectrum of blindness. It is possible that he's only like 40% blind. Okay. Look, I
was under the impression they set it up that he was blind.
A grenade launcher, though.
And the first thing I see him do, not the second time, but the first time he uses a grenade launcher, the camera doesn't focus on it, and he's like firing like he can see. I'm like, wait, what? And Joe's like, wait a minute, isn't that guy blind? And I'm like, oh shit, he is. Yeah. That bothered me the rest of the fucking scene. It took away from an otherwise
I'll find
awesome...
you. Like he's like shooting grenades. Like I'll find
and
you.
And I tried to come up with an excuse. I was like, Joe, look, his ears really. He's doing this so he could hear where the enemy is. But he's a Spartan. Come on. But I just wish they didn't make him blind. Yeah. Because if they didn't make him blind, this scene and everything he does in it would make him a badass. And it still makes him a badass, but it's like. Oh, that's
because you see him like kind of running behind, but he's still grabbing for some help.
Yeah, people are pushing him into cover because he can't see it. It's like, look, if you get blind in one eye or something, sure, but like,
one eye
this is silly. Like this is fucking like, especially you're giving him the most dangerous weapon that anyone in this entire
and at one moment, go
ahead. He has the most dangerous weapon that anyone in this entire episode has. Like he is destroying everything, and he's got all these explosives and shit. And then he goes up against the Wraith, and you know.
Well, before that, so we move from cover to cover. Yeah. One of the cover. Goes behind it, and he has an epic moment. This time the camera's focusing on him. He backs up from his cover, and there's height to this bus they're hiding behind. He raises his gun, his grenade launcher, and he fires at 3 elites that are raining fire down upon them. But if the motherfucker's blind, if there was 1 or 2 inches too low with that grenade launcher, it would have hit the top of the bus, bounced back at them, and blew everybody up.
That as well,
Instead, it goes over the 3 elites' head, blows up behind them perfectly, so that we can have, I don't know, a trailer shot of the 3 elites, getting blown up. So we like it, we love it. We're saying all the elements, but that one thing made me go, oh, Joe, why'd you have to say that right now? I just wanted to pretend that he wasn't blind the whole time.
Not completely, so.
All right, fine.
There was another dude there that could have had the grenade launcher, his husband, right?
Boyfriend.
His or whoever it is. could have had all of those things and could have had all of those moments, and it wouldn't have been kind of silly.
Yeah, or we could give him some shooty moments, like when they get into close combat, stuff like that. Okay, so, but I want to point out all the great moments here. We get the fucking Warthog with the dude with the fucking chain gun, flies backward. Got great fucking
Master Chief
effects
kills
coming
somebody.
back. Master Chief is doing his thing. There's a Gatling gun
some
with
guy and
Riz and Joe keeps pointing out all the, and Joe ruins the scene for me, man.
Did
the
he not,
second
though?
thing Joe points out after he said the
him.
guy, he goes, "Did Master Chief just push that Marine
to his
death?"
And
I went back and I looked, and when the Marine runs, it looks like the momentum from Chief pushing him. He drops his weapon too because it was the Spartan had too much strength, and he dies.
He is pretty strong.
Go back and look at it. Joe's ruined it. Maybe I'll play it here for you. I'll do the work for you.
I didn't ruin it. I didn't do it.
Just make sure to subscribe.
How did I ruin it? I'm just pointing it out. Why did it do that?
Donate to our Patreon so we can continue to do this for you.
I was disappointed that when
subscribe to our Patreon,
the Warthog was there and the guy blew off, that the Warthog didn't do like 900 flips in the air because I spent more time launching Warthogs over things in Halo than anything else.
Fun. Oh, that's a great thing. Great call out. Okay,
it would have been great, but it cost money.
I did know. Okay, so Joe, you want to nitpick the whole fucking thing? I'll give you one
that's
nitpick.
What this point.
There was a few little streamers. You know, the blue. It's as if, in addition to the full-on CGI ones, there was a practical set of, it looked like a Roman candle. Did y'all see that one? It kind of would float down harmlessly.
there was plasma ones,
but it was like little Roman candle-looking ones that didn't have the power impact behind it. But because everything else was doing so well, you don't give a shit because it's working.
Yeah.
All right, so we have that scene, and that was fucking sweet. And they go into the stairwell, another fight sequence. Man, I forgot about this fight sequence. A bunch of elites in the fucking hallway. They're just, shooting them, grenading them.
Yeah.
And it turns out the boyfriend died. Big old fucking chest wound. Riz is like shit, and then they jump out the window. At that point, that's when Lewis is like, "Where is you son of a bitch?"
So all of them jumped out the window?
Yes.
Did you see how high that was?
Joe, just shut. God damn it.
How did Lewis make that?
Lewis was a Spartan.
Lewis was a Spartan. Yeah.
But that was pretty high, though.
Anyways,
that was pretty high.
She told him to tuck and roll. And then as they're falling, she's like,
Perez,
shut the fuck up. Moving on.
That was pretty high. You would break an ankle.
Lewis is like, "Where is my boyfriend?" And she's like, "He's not going to make it." And he's like, "Oh, I'm coming after you." And he's like, "You want some?" And then the Wraith comes, and he takes his grenade launcher and a sack of grenades.
It was badass.
I wanted to see it.
And I liked it.
I wanted to see it,
He got an
though.
amazing...
I did want to see it, but...
That would have been epic.
Yeah, Lewis got an amazing send-off.
Yeah.
I'm glad that a character that we've grown to care about got an amazing send-off.
If you didn't give Vanek the fucking send-off, that would have been a better death for Vanek than it was for... Like, if the fucking Wraith comes up and starts firing and killing a bunch of Marines, and Vanek's like... I have to
blows his leg off or something.
Or like
and he's
we do
like,
in the video game, I have to plant a plasma on it, and he's like, "Oh." So many different ways you could have done the Vanek death, and now...
See, the more you look at the other deaths, it was like, cool.
Death.
It's like, that's what
I'm going to have to use that word. It's just an offensive word when you hear it with Vanek. Anyway, so
like, when you think Vanek, he is in no way a bitch.
Right.
Why did we take him out like one?
Why did we have to give him...
That's a writer problem, not a Vanek problem.
True. All right, and then, so just as we suspected, I think Alex called this, that in the chaos, Soren and Halsey would get Cortana. But twist, they don't get Cortana. Maki gets Cortana. And she's like, "What the heck? You should be dead." And Cortana's like, "Run." And you can tell it's no longer a CGI effect, so they're saving money, hopefully towards something else. It's the actress just in blue light. And there's the Arbiter. He's just the Arbiter. I'm tired of the speculation. Is this an Arbiter? This is the Arbiter, all right? Goddamn it.
He's in charge.
So I'm just going to call him the Arbiter from here on out. Got it? So then Soren's shooting pistol. It's a fucking bulletproof. And then the Arbiter does the badass thing and fucking CGI cuts. And I'm like, man, that's probably a more expensive effect than people think. So there's where some of the money went. And I'm happy for it because it's so cool. Like the melting glass. Anyways, so he throws a grenade as well. People love grenades, man. There's a lot. This is a grenade episode. They get blown up, too. That's the only way to kill him. Yeah. It's the only way to at least to shock the motherfucker to stop chasing us, because that Arbiter would have fucking killed them both instantly. But yeah, so they got to get knocked out. That'll give us some time to see the medical tent scene where it's like everybody finally gets to the rally point, and it's who's in charge here. Perez is like, you're just gonna leave without saying goodbye, and that's Master Chief. That's what he does. Just point to point, and you fight. And you don't say goodbye to the Marines. Though I did when I was rescuing them on the Halo and picking them all up. Oh, goodbye, guys. See you later. I was so devastated when one of them died. You just want to like redo it so that you can keep them all alive. Anyways, and he goes. So, it's that connection again. And she's like, here, for luck. I guess he gives the coin.
The coin.
It's flipped a bunch of times. Yeah. And then he's like, it's like, haha, that's a callback to your clever writing. And I'm like, yeah, that's the writers. That's the writers in the writers.
Look how clever we are.
She would open up her palm, and then it was Tails. It's like, oh, no, he's going to die.
Joe, one of those writers, your family member. Were you in the writer's room?
Maybe.
That was one of the ideas that you had they didn't put in. Anyways, I love the scene with Keys. He was like, we're going to make them pay. Like, I don't care what the calculations are. We're going to make them pay for every inch of this planet.
Yeah, he's like, where's our suits?
I will die for that man.
Ackerson took everything.
Fuck yeah, I will fight for that man.
Do you think...
And he goes, where do you want me? Oh, I love it.
I'm be pretty pissed, but I don't think Kai left with Ackerson.
Oh, Kai, I think Kai is definitely
that would
with
suck.
It would suck because it's like it is not her character. She would not do that to her team.
I think you're right,
because she's
Joe.
not here in the episode at all.
I think they're going to butcher her character. I think they're setting her up for season 3.
About I was going to get mad. I was like, no, that's not her.
She's with the Spartan 3 program now, and she comes back, and then she has guilt over not fighting on Reach, but yet she's a bad guy. She's going to fight John a little bit. I don't know. And then maybe in a valiant effort, she realizes, and then she helps John in some way. I don't know.
But she's not here
for
at
her
all.
to be completely absent right now is odd.
Yes.
But there are a bunch of episodes left. How many? 3 or 4. So there's still potential for for us to know what happened with her. So making no judgments yet.
Yeah,
they're keeping it.
I'm just saying, like, I'd be pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah. And then he does the speech, and love the speech. Great speech. John needs no armor. Speech was all right. Listen, I've watched a lot of fucking cheesy sci-fi, channel right after wrestling. What channel was that? TNT. So Babylon 5 and made-for-TV movies that had budget constraints. I will say there's one speech that's like this that's done better, and I will recommend it to you. Babylon 5 in the beginning. When humanity is making a last stand against the Minbari invasion, and they give a speech to the pilots who basically are going to die. You're going to sacrifice yourself just to give the civilians, basically humanity, a chance to get off Earth.
Yes.
And that speech, boy, that'll make me fight and cry, and the music was so good. So it doesn't quite reach that level of speech. And that level of speech had a much lower budget than this show.
Independence Day's up there.
But I will say it was a good speech. Now, what were you saying, Joe?
Independence Day, it's up there.
Oh, Independence Day might be number 1. When I first watched that.
Dude, Theoden running down, hitting everyone's swords, yelling death. There is nothing better than that.
Okay, there's a lot of good speeches. So top 5 then for Independence Day. All right. But essentially, good speech, but I do want to recommend Babylon 5 because I'm a nerd.
Babylon 5 is great.
Whereas Red Letter Media does Star Trek callbacks, I'm going to start doing Babylon 5 callbacks.
And I'll be doing Ghost of Mars.
Similar stuff.
The only reason why Joe does that is to piss me off. And for some reason, it pisses me off every time.
It's perfect. It's a great speech, right?
Joe, no. With no armor, he goes out to defend Reach, and we get the MO8 Scorpion, which pulls up. I wish we would have done a little more with it, but at least they're doing some shit. In fact, they do this cool little thing. I need white phosphorus. Oh, roger that, Willie Pete. And then you see the Covenant.
And we'd use all the grenades earlier in the episode. We can't have any grenades on this.
Damn, we need some grenades right there. Yeah, maybe they don't want to blow the bridge yet. Yeah. I don't know. So we get that great scene, and then Joe's right. It smashes to black after they go, hey, way.
Right. I'm like, no.
Give me 30
no.
seconds. Give me 30 seconds.
For what? So we get the keys and the meeting between, Halsey
and Soren.
And Soren. He did make me laugh with it. And then he also made me laugh with the line. He's like, you're a pirate. And he's like, small business owner. I laughed. He's the comedy relief. And
yeah,
so
but again,
he injects that here. No, I didn't want it. Didn't need it. We didn't need to put it right there. The editor's room. You put it somewhere else and let the battle kind of play out a little bit. Anyways, that's when they go in the elevator and we learn that Miranda isn't on Reach. And that Maki has Cortana. The enemy has Cortana. So at some point they need to get her back. That's probably what these remaining episodes are about, resolving Maki. So it could be, maybe we have an out here that Maki dies. Maybe we can get an out where Chief has to kill Maki to take Cortana back. And we're like, hey, thank you.
In this season?
David Weiner, thank you.
Oh, I don't think so. That would be great.
If they wanted to wrap it up,
I want that.
To wrap Maki
I'll
up.
give it.
I want
and then she's dying in his arms, and she tells him more about the Halo.
I'll give it a 10 out of 10 if Master Chief grabs Quan and then throws Maki. It throws her at Maki, and they both fall off the cliff. Be like, oh, you did it. Great job. That's a fucking cliff.
Just a random cliff.
Yes.
Can you make it a little more realistic?
All right, he snaps off Quan's leg and then stabs
like,
Maki with the leg.
That's even more realistic.
Bam.
Thank you. So anyways, when they get to the roof and the evacuation, that's when the Admiral opens the scene, and there's Perez.
It's like, damn.
You're going to talk to me next? Yes, sir. I will get him on the. Come on. All right. But anyways, so she's got to be in the show. And Soren hears the jackals scaling the building. Loved the jackals. Love seeing them. I was hoping we would get some variation of the Covenant, not just elites. We got that. I would have liked to have seen a few grunts.
Not yet.
But maybe they're saving that for Halo.
This is special. Like, look, this is the vanguard of the Covenant forces sneaking onto. You can't have grunts because they suck.
Yeah, they do.
So, like, I understand.
So Admiral Keyes then gets his glorious scene. This is a subversion of my expectation because, like, okay, so yeah, Keyes is in the game, so he has to live. He's Captain Keyes of the Pillar of Auburn, but he's Admiral here, so I guess that's. I was like, okay, is he gonna get a demotion at some point? And then, as soon as I saw that screen said fuel line connected, and he goes, "I'll be right back." I'm like. And I'll be right back.
No.
You don't say that in like his movies. Like, I'll be back.
I'll be right back.
No,
and so then he has to go out. Yeah. Granted, he could have assigned any soldier. I saw one of them soldiers. I'm like, why isn't that soldier not out there firing?
She was sitting right there. It's like, look, you want to close this up, and it's like, hey, we can say goodbye to Perez.
You can't save your favorite people.
Alex doesn't want Perez in there. He would have like, Perez has Survivor's Guild, and you want to save some civilians the real way and do it real for real.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I just don't want them to open up any more storylines.
No, Alex is perfect. Perez should have done that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Instead, we lost an important character.
So we traded Perez for Keyes. I don't like that trade. But they gave him a man's death. He went out there, fucking pressed the button, and actually left it out and just left the fuel going so you can actually see the CGI effect. I was coming up with some wild theories in my head earlier to try to keep Keyes alive. I was like,
there was a refrigerator it's on there. It's on the deck, and he got in the refrigerator.
Yeah,
can you survive a nuclear blast in the refrigerator?
Indiana Jones.
Oh, Indiana Jones. No, I was seeing like. I noticed real quickly there was like a wave effect. I'm like, oh shit, is that like a cloaked elite or something? And he's like getting him. But no, if you look at it, it's the fuel that's filling the area.
He's got gas.
He got gas, and he has got the pipe. And he's got a light, and it's Perez that lights. I'm like, there is no way that Keyes is alive after that. If this show does something where, I don't know, Kai with the Spartan grapple pulls him out, or in the lead shields him and he's alive later on, that's going to be a huge, cheap-ass cop-out. So in order for this death to stick, and I think they gave him the appropriate send-off, and the badassness was there, and he gave them an opportunity. I mean, he wanted to die. He's like, stars don't mean shit here. I'm going to fight. And then, Master Chief's like, no, we need you. And I was like, Master Chief's right.
Someone has to make Ackerman pay. And right now, no one's going to make Ackerman pay.
Except for that one lady.
Perez is going to be the one that makes Ackerman pay.
The only lady who's still a part of the Oni. Anyways, so damn it, I don't want him to die, but yeah. So Admiral Keyes dies, disconnecting the fuel lines and exploding. Then we get that hallway scene. Chief versus Arbiter.
Sweet scene.
Sweet scene. Boop, 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 boop. It's a hallway, and I'm like, you'd probably just form a line and just fight. And I was like, well, I'm glad that they didn't. Everybody's mixing with everybody, even though you got fucking ranged weapons and people punches and swords. I don't care. It works. Chief even grabs the fucking power sword at one time, and the fucking Arbiter's like, let's go. He switches hands, and then motherfucker, Chief even lets out a fucking war cry, and the Arbiter's loving this, and then all of a sudden, and it's like, what the fuck? And it's like, hey, man, this is well written because this is a melee in the hall, and so everybody's firing, everybody's shooting, and one of the elites is like, well, fuck this guy. He just saved your life, Arbiter.
He's like, you won my fucking battle.
He fucking cuts his head off. So I like that they're showing that the Arbiter has a code of conduct. He wanted this one-on-one honorable fight. Motherfucker interrupts it. He doesn't care. He's going to kill his own fucking troop. So loved it. And he ain't that honorable because he's like, okay, now it's time for you to die. I'm sorry. I got to kill the rest of these
He's
people.
the demon. You have to kill the demon.
Got to kill him. So, but Maki stops him once again. This
Not
man
yet.
is pussy whipped. She's like, stop. Not yet. And he's like, oh.
She has to reveal that she's pregnant.
This guy multiple times. Anyways,
callback. You're pregnant.
The Arbiter, please don't let that be a thing, Alex. Stop speaking it into existence.
I don't want it to be a thing,
mad.
but I'm just like, I have very low opinions of the people writing the show.
But it was a great scene. I hate it when motherfuckers in Halo kill steal. You would have got a fucking Kilimanjaro, and the motherfucker steals your kill. So I thought that they were gonna save this next part for something later on, but out of nowhere, for apparently no reason other than being emotionally affected by Chief dying, so by Chief getting mortally wounded, Vanek runs out from his fucking cover.
But after Maki says, no, not now, and they're in retreat.
Yeah. So the way this is filmed, it brings me back to The Mandalorian when Raz Vizsla, whatever, the machine.
John Favreau stand-in.
Got a death, and it was supposed to be glorious, but you're like, but wait a minute, and some of the same thing kind of here. Death is sad. It's super sad. We loved him. But it's also a little disappointing, in my opinion. I'd have loved to have seen him, taking out a ton of elites or in an armor or give him Lewis's death, something. It's funny. It would have made more sense if we just switched him and the blind guy was like, ah!
He just gets stabbed with a needler.
He gets stabbed with a needler. It's like, hey, it still would have been a noble death. But yeah. So, Ackerson, like you said, Joe, might have pulled out Kai because we don't ever see her here. Possibly a setup to season 3 or dealt with in the rest of the season. And so, if Keyes is still alive, I already talked about that. Vintage Xbox in the antique shop. Mm-hmm. Okay, Zero Quan, but going to be followed by a weird, Shaman Quan episode probably.
Yeah.
Already talked about the grenade launcher with the blind dude. Oh, here's one. Why leave Cortana and take the armors?
So, Cortana is Halsey, right? It's based on, and he hates everything about Halsey. So it kind of makes, like, if he's like, this planet's getting glassed, I don't give a fuck about it. And so it's like that kind of, in a way, like I can
it's the
buy.
most advanced technology. She knows everything, and you're leaving that. It's still stupid.
Yeah.
But
it's like... Yeah. I'm more mad that we actually didn't get to see John use the sword. Take away the table leg scene. Don't need it. Like it's cool.
I guarantee you they did that on purpose.
Because there's one later.
They want to save that for the real Arbiter fight, the rematch where he defeats it. He's got his armor on now. It's on like Donkey Kong, bitch.
Yeah,
but then they become best friends because you can't be friends unless you get into a fight with another man, a fist fight, I guess. So they're gonna be.
There was just so many leading up points where I want to cheer for the show, like them on the bridge. It's like, oh, we're gonna do cool shit, and like, no, we're cutting to something else. Oh, he's gonna fight with the sword. Oh, we're gonna cut to something else. It's like I wanted a big moment for John in this episode, and I don't feel like I necessarily got one.
Yeah. So that's all I got. I think ultimately the best episode of the series so far, season 1 and season 2. And I hope we can continue this momentum. So just so y'all know, the director changed for this episode. It is Craig Zisk, and he is also Craig Zisk did the last episode as well. So these were the 2 Craig Zisk episodes, episode 3 and 4. And this had a different writer, Marisha Mukherjee. And she never writes another one. I hate that. Oh, I'm sorry. Marisha was the last episode. This episode was Tom Hemmings. Okay, so Craig Zisk as the director, Tom Hemmings as the writer. Tom Hemmings doesn't write another episode the rest of the season.
Who writes the next episode?
Next episode, we have Ilaria. The fuck is Ilaria? That's Quan shit, isn't it? Otto Bathurst is the director for the next 2, and the next one is Basil Lee Kremendal. And then the next one is Sarah McCarran, who wrote, and Otto again directing. Then, and that one's called Onyx. The 7th is Thermopylae. That was name dropped here, so probably still
Spartans get it.
Yeah, like, so that's probably fits in line with my prediction. I bet you Ilaria and Onyx are very low budget, like in rooms talking and in Maki and Quan stuff, and then Thermopylae is back to the action on Reach to wrap that up, and then the final episode, Halo. So that one's written by David Weiner himself. So hopefully he gets that right.
I want to see more battles. Longer battles.
I think we'll get 1 or 2 more battles.
Longer battles.
How are we just going to get to Halo?
Ain't going to be no long.
How are we just going to get to Halo in the last episode?
How are we going to get to Halo?
Yeah,
well, just like it was in the lore, if you don't know.
Well, I know the lore, but I mean, like we don't have anywhere near enough episodes if we have any amount of Quan episodes from here to get to Halo.
Yeah, 4 episodes left. We can go Quan for one of them to set up Flood and monsters and whatever she's babbling about these days, and then we need a Maki.
Quan is coming with the ship to pick up the Spartans.
2 episodes to get to the Spartans delivering, and then the last 2 for Cortana to Chief, delivering Cortana to Chief, and Chief going to the Pillar of Honor and everything good. Yeah. I think it can be done.
Yeah, Quan's gonna save the Spartans with the ship. He was like, "Come on board," and then they're gonna take off.
No,
she saves the day.
She saves the day again.
Maybe she's been saving the day every time. All right, well. That's our predictions so far. What are your predictions? I'm actually quite fascinated. Leave it in the comments down below. We are at halfway point in the season, and we will see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, everybody.